Hi, everyone. It's me, Tim. Today, I want to talk about my thoughts on work life balance in the game industry. This is something that's getting a lot of attention recently. A lot of people are talking about this, and I agree, it's a problem. So, I'm gonna start and end this video saying this work life balance is important. I've noticed some people will watch my videos and walk away with very unusual takes on what I said. So, I'm gonna make that clear. I started and stopped this video multiple times, and I've never done that. I usually sit down, think about what I want to say, do it, maybe bring up some notes to make sure I stay focused. But this one had me starting and stopping, and I finally realized what it was. Work life balance is often portrayed as a dichotomy work life balance versus passion. And I think that dichotomy is false. I think work life balance is in a period where it's being elevated way beyond maybe where it should be. And passion, meanwhile, has become kind of a negative thing, a dirty word, a something that, oh, that person's too passionate. They need to get reined in. Now, I'm saying this as someone who used to work crazy hours, 12 to 14 hours a day, 6 to 7 days a week. I did this for 10 years. I call that my lost decade. And I could talk about that. You know what? I'll talk about it in another video because I will get derailed in that. I just have to say this. It is not sustainable. However, I don't think that I would have been able to make my games on a 9 to 5 schedule. It just wouldn't have been possible. Fallout, for example, I was doing code and design and production. That wasn't possible. It wasn't possible to do 3 jobs in a 9 to 5 setting. Now, that was something I took on. So I'm not blaming anybody, but I'm saying there was something that contributed to Fallout since so many of us worked such long hours and did multiple roles. There were less of us, there was less communication overhead, there was more unity of purpose, and it led to what I think was a wonderful game. And I was watching a video, an escapist video by Yahtzee. He's very funny. I don't remember which one this was, but he said something that made me go, yes. He said, I'd rather play a bad game than play a bland game. And I remember pausing the video and going, yes, and I'd rather make a bad game than make a bland game. Some of my games people said were bad, but I don't think any of them thought they were forgettable. So I've also talked about, excuse me, those failures are what I learned from. I've talked a lot about the fact that failure gave me wisdom. It taught me what worked, what didn't, what I was good at, what I was bad at. However, there was a negative part to it. Failure gave me a kind of timidity, a concern. Like I'd think about something and go, I tried that before. I don't know if I should try that again. Or that didn't work. Or we didn't have a good time doing that. And so sometimes I feel like I don't explore as much. And I've fought against that tendency. Some people call it youthful arrogance and ignorance. I don't think it's that. I think when I was younger, I had a lot more energy, but I also thought I could do more than I could actually do. The lack of experience led me to overscope games. The recent video I talked about mixing real-time and turn-based and Arcanum. I really thought I could do that and get it balanced and get it great. I couldn't. Or I talked about writing bad dialogue in Temple. I thought I could do that. Why? Because I wrote some stuff for Fallout. Certainly I can just write more and it will be more and better. No. So that's what experience taught me. But ignorance is a two-way street. So I tried things without knowing how hard they would be, but I kept going anyway. And that led me into some game design spaces that led to wonderful games, even if they were overscoped. They were wonderful. And that's something that I would only do from that kind of risk. Now, I get the modern conversation on work-life balance. People want a life. They want a home life. They want kids. They want to travel. They want to do their hobbies. And I get all that. I also have to mention that there's a lot of professions that don't have that. Actors don't work 9 to 5. Athletes don't work 9 to 5. Writers, which is very profession adjacent to game development. And there's writers in game development. You can't say, it's Saturday. Nah. If something strikes you, you're going to go write it down. You're not going to go, nope, it's Saturday. I hope I remember that on Monday. Do. No, you write that down and you quickly learn to go with the flow when creativity hits. And I also get, though, that game dev isn't life or death. I mean, I got that back when the assistant producer showed up at my door with my computer while I was half dead from chickenpox and strep throat at the same time, saying, oh, you've got to finish this game. No, I don't. But at the same time, game development does require some dedication that you don't see in other professions. There's a lot of professions you can go in, work your hours, and leave. I don't think making games is like that. And here's why I don't think it's like that. I'm getting scared of the industry trend to turn games into products. Now, I'll be clear on this. Games have always been products, but now they're being made like products. When I see microtransactions or hear about gas, games as a service, it kind of just makes me wince a little because that's product. That's not passion. I don't hear anybody wanting to get into the game industry because they want to do gas, because they want to do microtransactions. That's a way of making money off your game, but it's certainly not a reason to make game and things that really shouldn't be impacting you too much during development. I know there's people go, no, you have to think of this from the very beginning. And I'm like, okay, let someone else do that. Hire someone 9 to 5 and have them think about ways of putting microtransactions in your game. I don't want to do that. That is not game development to me. And I've always viewed game development as much art as science. And you can't schedule art. You can make an assembly line to make a car, to build a car. But I don't think you could assembly line the actual designing of cars. And that's why I would always tell producers, look, I know you want to schedule out my design work, but I can't guarantee I'll have all my design ideas by Friday. I can't guarantee they'll all work. I can't guarantee we'll want to cut some or redesign some. I can't guarantee that cutting these, in fact, I almost will guarantee cutting these probably will lead to breaking other things and having to redesign them. That's a guarantee. So the best you can do is build buffers into your schedule to hopefully account for those things. But you literally cannot schedule for them. And anybody who says they can, I think, is trying to sell you something. They're probably trying to sell you on a new service or themselves, because I've yet to meet a producer who can schedule for creativity. And all the ones that say they can have failed. They've just failed. So, how do I even conclude this? I'm all for work-life balance as much as possible. I think it's a good thing. I'm glad people are talking about unions. I think they may be needed. If the companies aren't going to provide work-life balance, then the workers should take it. But you have to realize that not all game development will be possible in 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, ever. It just doesn't work that way. I think a way of thinking about it is work-life balance most of the time is what you should shoot for. But sacrifice it for periods of time when necessary to take your product from good to great. Now, keep an eye on how much you're sacrificing. But the same thing goes for passion. Try to have passion most of the time. Try to put in stuff you really care about. Try to work on things you care about. But understand that you will have to sacrifice that sometimes when necessary. At some point, your game is being funded. And the people who fund it need it to be done. They need to say, hey, we got to pick an end date. We have to make commitments to, storefronts and ads and all these things that you have to commit to weeks or months in advance, sometimes a year. So occasionally you have to be willing to sacrifice your passion and go, okay, I'm just going to roll up my sleeves and work on this. And I don't think it's the best thing ever, but this thing has to be done. Don't do that too much, but you're going to have to do it occasionally. I like to think of this as a pendulum. Everything's a pendulum. Society, social, mores, TV shows. We have a lot of zombie shows for a while. Now the pendulum's swinging to superheroes. It'll swing somewhere else later. Similarly, for work-life balance and passion, it's a pendulum. Do not let it swing too far into work-life balance, or I guarantee you will have a happy home life and a resume full of mediocre games. Similarly, don't let passion swing too far. or you end up with possibly some good games, maybe not, and you may end up with a lost decade like me. So, conclusion: work-life balance good, passion good. This is not a dichotomy. And that's all the thoughts I think I have on that. So I hope this gives you some clarification on this. And I hope the next time somebody brings up the work-life passion dichotomy, you can say, not a dichotomy. Two totally different things.